to perhaps take the talk in a slightly different direction, just to kind of conclude this weekend that many of us have shared together. What Swami's talking about in this reading and what Jyotish was sharing is about the eternal truth behind, beneath, above, below, everything that we think is real. But there is a greater truth, and that truth is, if we can align ourselves, as he was saying, with that truth, then we become a channel for God, God's love, God's light, and we also become united with God. And we watched Swami Kriyananda, who from the day he read Autobiography of a Yogi, his life was changed. And he said, I was just reading in The New Path, his autobiography, after he finished the autobiography, he was so inspired. He said, I've got to go meet this man. He said, but I didn't want to be rash and just rush off, so I waited one day. And then I took the Greyhound bus all the way across the country. And most of us know he'd been searching so deeply throughout this entire incarnation that when he met Master, there was no preliminary. He just, first words, I want to be your disciple. And, you know, Jyotish and I had, and many of us here, we were not unique in this, certainly, but we had the good karma of getting to be around Swamiji a lot. And really his mind never wandered from Master, no matter what he was doing. If he was hosting an event at his house, if he was going for a stroll, if he was going on vacation, his mind was always focused on Master, always, how can I serve thee? How can I feel your closeness more with me? And so to build a bridge between two people who were celebrating 50 years of being married to the eternal romance, which is what Master called our relationship with God. All of our human relationships are just to help us to love, to have the capacity of greater and greater love. That's all it is. And then ultimately, even the best and dearest of relationships, one way or another will end, through death, through separation, but they are eternal. And we were speaking of this yesterday, that even by separation, there is no separation. Swami was so present this weekend through the music, through the celebration, and even though he's no longer in the body, for those who, as Master said at the end of his life, someone asked him, in fact, Swamiji, when you were gone, will we be able to feel your presence just the same? And he said, to those who think me near, I will be near. And so it's up to us to keep that constant, no matter what's going on in the world, really. And I want to just say, we try not to read the news too much, but headlines jump out at you. But remember that the only thing that's real in this world is God's presence. And greater than that, the only thing that's real is God's love. And people may not understand that. People may act in foolish, destructive ways, but that will pass. We have to focus on the eternal, not the transitory. What is eternal? It's our relationship with God. It's God's love for us. And I read a beautiful quote from Master, very brief, but I wanted to share it. Master says, I asked God why he made this creation. Was it necessary for you? Master asked God, did you need to do this? What a mess. And Master says, God answered, no, it wasn't necessary, but I had no one to share my joy. And so Master goes on, And so he became the creator. And this is the part that is very important. He became the creator, but with one condition. God imposed on himself the same yearning and seeking that he imposes on his creatures. That's a very beautiful thought. We know, we feel the yearning for perfect love, for perfect happiness, but in creating all of us, planting that yearning in our hearts to return to oneness with him, God imposed on himself that same yearning. And we are united in that yearning. God, it's hard to imagine, but the great ones tell us God yearns for us even more than we yearn for him. And so remember that. Remember when you're feeling, oh God, why don't you come? I try so hard. I try to be in tune. I try to serve. I try to feel your presence. His yearning for you is even greater than your yearning for him. And so let that lift you up beyond doubt, beyond questioning, and may you always remember it, as that Saint Jean Vianney said, if you only knew how much God loved you, you would die for joy. Remember that. We're not alone in this swamp of disillusionment. God is calling us with the deepest yearning of his own heart, because we are his children, we are his creation. And he imposed on himself. He could have been indifferent, she could have been indifferent, but that's not how she created this world. She created it by imposing on herself the need for our love. Isn't that amazing? And so let's never forget that, and let's give God our love. And in that completing that union of God wanting us and us wanting God, and the magnetism builds and builds and builds until, as Swami said at the end of his life, I no longer know where Swami Kriyananda ends and Yogananda begins. It was just one. And that's each of our destinies. Remember that. It isn't just for people who've been on the path for 50, 60 years or whatever. It's each of our destinies. And we just have to walk this path, never forgetting that God is cheering us on. So continue with faith, continue with joy, no matter what happens, whatever hardships we may have to go through, it doesn't matter. All that's real is the eternal truth of God's love. And if Master during the Depression could be still a warrior for God's presence, so must we be, no matter what lies ahead. And God will support us, because the more we say, I am yours, God, come what may, the more he'll say, okay, let's get on with this show. And we're very, very, well, as Master said, it takes very, very, very good karma to even want to know God. And we're a lot farther along than that. So accept that you have very good karma to have the ability to even want to know God, to dedicate your life in love and service. And just to close by thanking all of you for coming and for being a part of this beautiful family. Swami has said, and we didn't really understand it at the time, so much of what he said we didn't understand at the time, but he said, in the future, what's happening throughout the world with Ananda will be recognized as the most important thing that was happening in the world at this time. And we have to go on with that kind of faith. We can make a difference the more we become surrendered and to God's love, within ourselves, and the more we become aware of God's eternal love for us. God bless you.